When someone tries to guilt trip you into doing what they want, it feels like they're yanking on invisible strings. And for years, my father-in-law has been the puppet master of every family holiday. But this Christmas, he went too far. So I decided to give him exactly what he asked for, just not in the way he expected. If you've ever had someone try to control your choices with guilt, manipulation, or family pressure, this one's for you. Hit that like button, subscribe if you love stories where karma hits hard, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying holiday revenges you'll ever hear. I'll be honest, I used to love Christmas. The lights, the food, the quiet little moments that make everything feel like a warm blanket around your heart. But ever since I married my husband, the holidays have come with strings attached. His dad, my father-in-law, has this way of turning every family gathering into a guilt trip marathon. He doesn't ask, he expects. And if you say no, you'll get the full emotional speech about family traditions, togetherness, and how you've changed. Soft pause, lower tone. This year, though, things were different. My husband's job situation had changed. He works contract to contract, which means no real paid time off. If he takes too many days, he risks losing full-time status, and we rely on that status for our bills, insurance, everything. So when Christmas rolled around, he only had 2 days off. Just 2 days. Tone, incredulous, frustrated. And we lived 10 hours away. So driving home meant wasting an entire day on the road, barely seeing anyone, then driving all the way back exhausted. Flying could have worked, but we were worried about the winter shutdowns. Plus, we have pets, and our usual sitter was out of town. Everything about this year screamed, stay home, recharge, take care of yourselves. When we told my father-in-law, I could practically hear the disapproval through the phone. He started slow, real casual. Well, you guys have kinda made it a tradition to come up every few years. And when I explained the job situation, the pets, the logistics, he switched tactics. You don't want to miss out on seeing everyone. You never know how much longer we'll all have together. Voice sharpens. There it was. The sick relative card. Classic move in the guilt trip playbook. When that didn't work, he went even deeper. Your mother-in-law's been really down lately since losing a family member. It'd mean the world to her if everyone was together. Soft, empathetic tone. And that hurt, because we had been there for her. We'd driven up several times earlier in the year to support her through everything. We love her. But this wasn't about her grief, not really. This was about control. About my father-in-law not getting his way. That night, I sat on the couch, scrolling through texts from him. Paragraph after paragraph, trying to convince us to do the right thing. My stomach was in knots. You know that feeling, when you're being pressured to the point where you start second-guessing your own logic. I could feel myself getting angry, but beneath that anger was this deep exhaustion. We'd been accommodating for years, saying yes when we wanted to say no. And I just snapped. Determined tone. I remember muttering to myself, if he wants us to spend time with family so badly, then that's exactly what we'll do. But on our terms. The next morning over coffee, I told my husband my plan. What if, I said, instead of spending every minute at your parents' house, we made it a full family trip? Visit your cousins, your aunt, my best friend, maybe even your grandma. Everyone we haven't seen in ages. His eyes widened for a second. Then this slow grin spread across his face. You mean, actually enjoy the trip instead of surviving it? Exactly. Because here's the thing. My father-in-law wanted us there so he could monopolize our time. He doesn't want family togetherness. He wants control. So the revenge. Give him exactly what he asked for. Family time, but not the way he imagined. We booked the flights. We reserved a rental car because I could already picture him saying, "Oh, you don't need that, you can just use our car." Well, not this time. We were setting boundaries. The next day, we got on a call with my father-in-law to finalize travel details. I could tell from his tone he was expecting a fight. So I went in calm, pleasant even. "Hey, we figured everything out," I said cheerfully. "We'll be coming up for Christmas after all." There was this pause. You could practically hear his smug smile through the phone. Well, that's great news. I knew you'd come around. Yeah, I continued. And it actually works out perfectly. We'll get to see everyone. Your side of the family, my friends, the cousins. It's gonna be a whole reunion tour. Silence. Just silence. Then, in this flat tone, he says, "Oh, I thought you were coming to stay here." "Oh, we'll definitely stop by," I replied sweetly. "We just want to make sure everyone gets time with us. You said it yourself. Family's important, right?" You could feel the gears grinding in his head. He wanted to argue, but how could he? I was literally doing what he'd been guilt-tripping us about. Spending time with family. Just not exclusively his family. My husband was sitting next to me, biting his lip, trying not to laugh. The silence on the line lasted a full 10 seconds before my father-in-law finally said, "Well, I suppose that makes sense." Smirk in voice. I bet it did. Fast forward to Christmas week. We flew in, picked up our rental car, and began our family tour. The first few days were wonderful. We visited friends we hadn't seen in years, exchanged gifts with cousins, even went to a small-town Christmas market. Meanwhile, my phone kept lighting up with little messages from my father-in-law. "When will you be here? How long are you staying? Maybe you should just stay with us. We've got space." Each time, I responded kindly but firmly. "We'll be by soon. Just trying to see everyone while we can." By the time we finally visited their house, a few days before New Year's, you could tell he was stewing. My mother-in-law greeted us warmly, hugged us tight. But my father-in-law, he looked like someone who'd bitten into a lemon. At dinner, he kept making little comments. "Must be nice having so many people to see. I guess we're not the priority anymore. Funny, you used to spend all your time here." I smiled, sipped my wine and said, "Oh, we're just trying to follow your advice, about valuing family. It's been wonderful seeing everyone." My husband almost choked on his food trying not to laugh. And that was the moment, the exact second, I saw the realization dawn in my father-in-law's eyes. He knew. He'd tried to manipulate us with guilt, and I'd turned his own logic against him. Pause, satisfied tone. It was quiet justice. No yelling. No big confrontation. Just boundaries, enforced with a smile. The next morning, as we packed to leave, my father-in-law muttered something about next year's plans. I just smiled and said, "We'll see what works best for us." And for once, he didn't argue. He just nodded quietly. Because I think he finally realized something. You can't guilt people into love. You can't manipulate family into obedience. Soft music tone. Love only means something when it's freely given, not demanded. That Christmas was the first time I felt truly free in years. We made our own memories on our own terms. And it felt incredible.